Now, she issued the statement yesterday, and she said something that I found quite significant. She said that, that the Oba is not the kind of person that he wants to portray himself to
in
be.
public.
That's her personal opinion. We don't know whether that is true or not. But it's the reaction that embarrasses me. It says the reaction, the gentleman says is the director of media and strategy, Moses Olafare, and said that as of Wednesday, Ogunwusi and Naomi went to bed as husband and wife. Look, Mr. Olafare, the issue is very simple. If she didn't issue the statement, get a recorded statement from her.
Let her do a video and say she didn't say so.
But if you now want to react in this manner, it makes it even more embarrassing. It makes it more embarrassing. What I would have expected you to say is that we will not react now. We're watching developments and we'll get back to you. Yeah. After that, it will die away. That's the way to go. So that's as far as that goes. But generally, the Yoruba nation is in trouble. If we are the problem that we have is even larger than any perceived Hausa Fulani domination, which I don't believe, but it's even larger than that. And I expect a lot of the agitators too. I expect them, the Professor Akute too, to feel concerned about all this. The reactions we are getting from our various traditional rulers, it gives cause for worry. Not just the Oni. From the very onset, I must say, with due respect, the courage of this current Oni is not anywhere near what one saw of Bashijuade and so on and so forth. It became a bit too ceremonial, too exposed in the social media. And remember that there's also the issue of another lady who had a child for him, who had to go deny what he himself said in the social media. Look, listen, the institution of Obaship in Yoruba land, indeed anywhere, is a sacred institution and should be treated as such. I think that some elders in the land, some General Akinri Ade, Afe Babalola, these elders need to meet very quickly and salvage the image of Yoruba. It's not the only one. Some of our other traditional rulers are embarrassing us, seriously. And that is a bigger problem than any perceived whatever. It's a bigger problem. The Yoruba nation itself lies more in the traditional institutions than in any political thing that any activist could put together. So if we fail at that level, then we have a big problem on our hands. I'd like to call on Kabiesi Abujale, Kabiesi Alake, the elderly ones who have a better sense of the way these things should be done, to quickly salvage what is left of our image. Of course, I don't want to start mentioning names, but you all of you know the kind of embarrassments we've been facing from one or two or three of our traditional rulers. And that is mainly because the process has been compromised. The process of picking the Obas themselves has been seriously compromised. And you cannot build something on nothing. You cannot build something. And there's what I also like to make very clear is, traditionally, why a lot of people don't get involved in traditional worship is because it's very strict. If you go and get yourself involved in something that is not, I'm thinking in Yoruba now, but that's not the right word. But you gotta get that you are not entitled to, you will pay dearly for it. Yorubas call it ashishe. You'll keep doing the wrong things. So there is a need. This is a wake-up call to the elders of the land to quickly move in and save our land. Unfortunately, he's not the only one. He is not the only one. I can count at least 6 that have given a lot of us sleepless nights and concerns, and we keep saying that this is not the traditional institution. If you take the traditional institutions out of the Yoruba land, and indeed everywhere, all over Nigeria, if you take it out, it's a total collapse. It's more important than the political structure.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not certain anything would change in that regard. Unfortunately,
I think it has gotten. Ife is not. It has gotten to a point where something will have to give. Because if you say it won't change, if it doesn't change for the better, then it will come crashing down.
Well,
not well. because that is what it's like the British Empire. That is what we stand on.
Yeah. Because I think
and because of the involvement of this thing, it became worse after the involvement of the politicians.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we've had this conversation before.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the structures on which our cultural institutions stand right now, I doubt if anything better would happen. I fear for the worst, actually. I fear for the worst.
Well, politics for me, to be honest with you, has been so destructive. Never have you seen the kind of corruption that you've seen under it makes even Abacha's whatever look like child's play. You know, culturally we've been destroyed. Everything is upside down.
Let me take some comments off Facebook. Ebi Ambo says, so Ifa cannot tell us Ifa cannot tell us whether the social media account of the wife of a prominent Ifa priest was hacked or not. As a matter of fact, the Ifa priest, whose wife's social media account was allegedly hacked, said he's waiting for the conclusion of investigation on the reported hack.
Well, you might make fun out of it. You might joke about these things, but it is a very, very serious matter, and the implications are far and wide. It is a very, very serious matter, and those who know what I'm talking about. Because look at this gentleman. It's part of his reaction is, Kabiesi was still packaging a special gift for her. If you want to separate with someone, no, he first of all says that separation is a two-way affair. No, sir. Separation, once one goes, that's it.
You missed the memo, sir.
You missed the point, yes. And it is not something that is announced by one party. Excuse me.
You open the door and take a walk. You missed the memo.
The announcement of separator is subject to agreement by both parties.
No, it's not that complicated.
No. Again, I go back to where I started. If you find yourself in a position where you have to relate to the public, you better take that position of your spokesperson. You better take it seriously. Even the state governments are not any better in all this. You need somebody with a very mature. This kind of situation, if I was in charge of dissemination of information, I would say, well, we are looking at, because like I was telling my friend Funsha and all this morning, public relations work is not about covering up the truth.
Yeah.
It's managing the truth.
Yes.
It's managing the truth.
Well, he possibly thought he was managing the truth.
It's not managing the truth.
It's not managing anything.
And he said she was packaging. If a man is packaging a gift for his wife, how do you get to know? I mean, come on.
Let's see our next story. Media and strategy. Okay. The Vanguard newspaper has its headline, Year-End Services. Federal government restricts religious gatherings to 50% capacity. We have over 20 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines, says federal government, to begin deployment of vaccines nationwide, and says booster vaccines not different from first and second doses. So why should I go get it?
No, what they mean?
No,
what they mean is that it's safe to take it.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, now this is really for announcement than any other analysis. We are told here that the federal government claimed to have 20 million doses of COVID, which I hope they will.
Of COVID,
COVID vaccine. Sorry, which I hope they will deploy very quickly before this one expires. But also the important thing to note is that indoor religious congregations should be limited to 50% of capacity. The truth is this. Don't let me even bother. The truth is this. If you don't have to go anywhere, for God's sake, if it is not a matter of life and death, don't get up from where you are. For now. And again, we are pleading with you, go get yourself vaccinated. There's this argument that people are saying, but those who got vaccinated also contracted COVID. Vaccination doesn't mean you won't. What it means is that it will manage it better.
Yeah.
Those who are vaccinated and contracted COVID, it came like a mere cold. Okay, so they don't use that as an excuse and get yourself killed unduly. Now the federal government says they have 20 million vaccines. Try to find a way to key into this vaccination process. And I don't know what the fuss is about. We've always had vaccination. We've always had chicken pox, yellow fever, name all kinds of pox and vaccines. My arms are full of different marks. We call it in those days number. I don't know what the whole fuss is about. I don't know why you would believe if 80% of the world is going right, you want to believe the 20% that are going left.
There's not even up to 20%.
Well, I want to be generous. This Christmas period.
Papa Christmas. Okay. At times jogging off. Let me take some comments. Okay, I'll come to YouTube in him. Oh, my goodness. All right. Merry Christmas. Okay, now you have an acronym called UJD.
UJD? Oh, I see.
You like it?
Well, what can I do? Anything they call me, I agree.
Stephen Moses says, is asking you to rest so that you can come next year fully ready for more paper reviews. Ahmad Kanyide Olasukomi, the culture and traditions of the Yoruba race is fast eroding them, leaving only the togas. The kings are becoming boys in the club.
Who's that?
That's Ahmad Kanyide Olasukomi.
Oh.
Adebaba, if social media is available during Sijuade's era, he too will take advantage because it was a socialite, spraying at parties and fully involved in politics.
No, there are some Obas you still have today who behave themselves.
I mean, on social media it's not wrong.
It's not wrong. No, it's not a matter of social media. No.
The Olu of Worry is on social media, and the social media account is well managed, properly managed. All right, let's see our next story, and this is the Magodo issue. It's in the Vanguard. Magodo judgment creditors misled police in execution of court order. This is coming from this is the response of the Lagos State government.
Yes.
And they even said they were going to prosecute the hoodlums. So what's the word?
The Lagos State government should be ashamed of itself. Now let me quickly add that it wasn't done during this thing wasn't done during the era of Governor Sanwo-Olu, but he has to take up the liability because government is a continuum. The government should be ashamed of itself. If anything at all, some people should have been prosecuted for what they did. You took people's land. You said you were going to build a hospital. It turns out to be a private estate for your cronies and yet you're trying to threaten. The original owners of the land who patiently waited for 34 years. They went to court for 34 years. And now the Attorney General is threatening fire and brimstone. Attorney General, it is not always all about law. You should tell your own government. To cover their faces in shame and find a resolution to this thing. Because you cheated the people. That's what happened. Let me quickly add, it didn't happen during the tenure of this government. But government is a continuum.
Yeah.
And rather than blow hot and cold and huffing and puffing, I would have thought that he would look for a more peaceful resolution than threaten people with arrest and so on and so forth. But again, these are legal things. I'm going to defer. At 9 o'clock, I'm going to call GT Ogunye, and tomorrow I have Yemi Kandi Johnson. Between the two of them, and maybe one or two other lawyers I might call, we'll look at the implications of this judgment. And specifically this morning, we are going to look at the reaction to this government statement. I heard that somewhere along the line, we'll be able to look at it critically at 9. But I heard that somewhere along the line, the government offered them an alternative to give them 500 and something plots of land in Badagry.
To give who, the Shangisha landlords or the Magodo?
Yes, in Badagry.
Wait, the Magodo people or the Shangisha people, the original owners?
The original owners, yes.
Now,
of course now.
the difference is clear.
Of course, what happened is very shameful.
The difference is clear.
And if we had a very good legal system, some people should be prosecuted for this, and all the land should be forfeited.
But this headline, though, I'm worried. I mean, it says that the judgment creditors misled the police. If there was an order, it's written, Nabi. It's on paper, Abi.
Well, I don't know. That's what I have to wait for. I
look forward to that conversation.
At face value, the way I will put it is that the government at that level at that time, they got involved in 419. Yes. And those who handled it at that time, as far as I'm concerned, if they're still around, they should be prosecuted. You took the land. And this impunity keeps going on and on and on. Look at, I don't want to mention it, but I might as well just say it. Look at what has happened to our school of nursing. Then at the end of the day, when we've made so much noise, you say you want to build a medical park right in the middle of the city. These politicians keep tossing us up and down and think that they're deceiving. Look at what happened to a Lagos State Polytechnic became a private radio station. It's on and on and on and on. And one day, somebody is going to put a stop to all this.
Amen.
Somebody is going to put
Christmas,
somebody is going to put a stop to all this land racketeering. So you cannot now even safely buy government land.
I'm trying to get people from land to come on Monday to talk about this.
Something I need to alert people. Do you know that the Lagos Ekpe stretch, to the best of my memory, the Lagos government acquired it for agricultural purposes during Jakonde's time.
Funny.
How has it now become private estates?
Funny, because there's so many estates selling lands over there.
When you want to buy a house in any of these estates, you better be very careful. There was one estate, people didn't know, they were buying the houses. They didn't know that the guy who put the estate together had used it as collateral to get a loan from a bank. So be careful. Be very careful. But how careful can you be?
Can't you
buy land from government?
So I hope to get them here on Monday. I hope so. I've been reaching out to all of them. They've been excusing themselves. I'm trying one more number today. Hopefully.
Nobody. You know, because to be fair, the dilemma they have is that this thing happened how many years ago? Yeah. And they are now the ones who have to clear the mess.
Absolutely. Over 30 years. That's a long time. That's a long time.
But I give kudos to the family. They've been quite patient. The judgment itself is about how many years old?
Since 2012.
2012. That's almost another 9 years.
Since the Supreme Court ruled. And this headline says that there's now... I don't understand. That's...
I will wait. GT is coming on. And then...
I want to hear that interview.
Yes, and then Candy Johnson will be here.
Yesterday's interview, by the way, if you guys missed it, is on our Facebook and YouTube pages. It was fantastic.
Which one is
the one you had with the lawyer?
Of the family.
Beautiful, beautiful. You guys should catch up with it and get it. All right, let's see this one. I quickly, looked through this story, and sincerely, I feel bad and I feel happy for her at the same time. This is in the Vanguard today. Christmas Day murder. Police forced me, quote unquote, to admit killing my abusive husband, 38-year-old trader, married at 14, endured beatings and humiliation. 5 years after, exonerated by court. Such a story.
Of course, as soon as I saw the story, I marked it. But when I read, it is reported here that when the judgment was read and she was told she was discharged,
she didn't hear.
She didn't hear
because she was in shock. She was gone. They had to tell her, "Madam, you can come down.
You can come down.
You can go home."
She was married at 14.
Oh my God.
She was married at 14.
Beaten.
Yes, and she was beaten. She said she didn't even know anything about menstruation or sex, nothing. She said when my mother died, my late husband's mother took me in to train me. And from there, they handed her over to her husband at 14, and he was a drunkard. Anyway, it's a story you need to read.
Yeah.
It's a story you need to read. It gives
is this the woman?
This is the woman now.
She looks 50.
But she's in her 30s.
38.
Yeah, but she's been on trial for 5 years.
Oh my goodness.
And
she's been in prison all the while.
Yes.
Does she have children? Where have they been?
If you want to know that, read the story.
Can't get the paper.
But that's it off. If you want.
Find out for yourself.
But hey, it's a story. It's on page 13 of the Vanguard, and it's a story that everybody should
Quite
read.
A story.
I wonder how she's spending her Christmas. Poor woman.
I mean, every Christmas for her. I mean, I don't know. Going for every Christmas.
Going for it would be a nightmare. But when I still maintain, when I read, it said she couldn't look straight at the judge. Within 30 minutes, the judgment was over. But her mind was still in another place.
I read that part. And then I had goosebumps.
You can go home.
They had to tap her, "Madam, we're done. The judge says you are free. Go and take care of your children." Yeah, I think she has children. I mentioned children there.
If you know she has children, so why were you asking me?
Because you're the author. All right. Let me take some comments off YouTube here now. OD Gunners. No. I'm going to leave it there. Ejime Osemeke is the same thing the government did to Maroko landlords. Funsho Jimo Sanwo-Olu has been mobbing up the misdeeds of his predecessors all through. I have a lot of sympathy for him. I wish he can take the bold step and pull the trigger. Which trigger? Stephen Onyefor, only God knows how many times Lagos State government has been misled in the past, resulting in the demolition of people's property. Up till now, a certain religious organization still hold their services on Zoom due to COVID. All right, the final story is here. Treating Christmas with respect. It's an opinion here.
Yes. Now, this is an opinion article that ironically is written on an Islamic page. And that is the Islamic page is called Facing the Kaaba by Arun Balogun. And in it, I found it quite interesting. Treating Christmas with respect on an Islamic page. And it says that the Prophet Muhammad, one of the paragraphs that caught my attention, Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, was so accommodating of Christians that according to the two earliest Islamic historians, Ibn Asad and Ibn Hisham, the Prophet even allowed the delegation of 60 Byzantine Christians from Najran in Yemen to worship in his own mosque in Medina, led by their bishop. They had come to discuss a number of issues with him. When time of their prayer came, they asked the Prophet's permission to perform this in the mosque. He answered, "Conduct your service here in the mosque. It is a place consecrated to God." I'm reading, I found it quite interesting. And then it goes on to say, God expects us to stay away from mocking the religious beliefs of others, no matter how much we disagree with them. He says in the Quran, "And insult not those whom they, disbelievers, worship besides God, lest they insult God wrongfully without knowledge. Thus we have made fair seeming to each people its own doings. Then to their Lord is their return, and he shall inform them of all they used to do," and so on and so forth. The tolerance that this preaches, it touched my heart. Even in this article, it says Christmas is a great time to relate to our neighbors. Once again, if you are just tuning in, this is on an Islamic page. A great time to relate to our neighbors. We should not forget, though, that relating does not mean preaching. Dawah cannot be made in a rude manner. And then it goes on to quote, Allah says in the Quran, "Invite all to the way of your Lord with wisdom and beautiful advice, and reason with them by ways that are best and most gracious, because your Lord knows best who have strayed from his path and those who receive guidance." So you can see that if we study all our major religions, deep inside them, they preach peace and tolerance. It's the practitioners that usually turn things around. Look at this. It says this was, only God knows what year this was, and the man allowed the 60 Christians to worship in the mosque. So I thought that in the spirit of Christmas, I'd read this, and I thank Arun Balogun for publishing this article, and it is lead whatever. It's called Treating Christmas with Respect. It's in the Vanguard and is on page 24.
All right, we need to go now, but not without taking a few comments from Facebook. Well done. Sorry. That was a long run. Olutoyin Fascism says the government doesn't emphasize on other social gatherings. It's always religious gatherings. When they are ready for campaign, they go mute. Jetavo Judge seems to share that opinion. That presidential committee limiting religious gatherings to 50% is most unfortunate and smacks of bias. What happens to musical shows and transport systems? Abdurrafiu
that's a valid point.
Yes.
Valid point.
I mean, the president was in Borno yesterday. Says let's appeal to the political class to hands off from anything about traditional. Look at how a governor in Kano sacked a first-class traditional ruler. So not only in Yoruba land. Right, but we need to go. The ministry is back at 9 o'clock. Don't miss that conversation. After the news at 8, let's do a wrap-up of the biggest stories across Nigeria this week on Hot Takes. That's coming up shortly. Thank you. See you at 9.
Information inflation, the new currency.
That means that the common man on the streets needs to have a
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.